What's up, everybody? Justin Hayes here from superhumanpursuits.com. You are in video 3 of the crash course to functional training, or what I like to think of as just the guide to properly taking care of yourself in proper training. We've already established that breathing, movement, strength, and skill have a linear relationship, meaning breathing must be established before movement, movement before strength, and strength before skill. Now, in the breathing section, I talked about a deep diaphragmatic breath, the ability to have a deep belly breath and control that breath is essential before you start to move. And that's the carryover, right? Everything you do in the movement category, every time you try to establish good movement, breathing must be there. While you're doing exercises in this realm, you must be able to breathe properly, and that goes for any exercise in general. To dive a little bit deeper into functional movement, I want to just briefly define mobility and stability, talk a little bit about the relationship. So mobility is simply the range of motion you can produce at a joint. So I have a certain range of motion in my shoulder, that's shoulder mobility, range of motion in my hip, ankle mobility, hip mobility. You get the idea. Stability is the ability to control that motion. So I have shoulder mobility, and that is the range of motion I can produce with my shoulder. Now, stability says, how well can I control that range of motion that I just produced? Keeping that in mind, you can start to see the relationship that is established between mobility and stability. In the example of the shoulder, if my shoulder is immobile, if I can't produce a certain range of motion in it, then how would I ever stabilize that range of motion? And that comes to a head when you say that mobility oftentimes or always has to come before stability. In the same breath, stability has a relationship with mobility in that if you mobilize a shoulder, if you did certain techniques to gain range of motion at that shoulder, and then after doing those techniques, you didn't stabilize that new range of motion you created, then your body would revert back to its old habits. Any mobility gains you had would be lost unless they're followed up with stability. So in the end, what are we chasing? We're chasing mobility and stability, proper stability at every joint in the body, and that is what we need to establish good movement. We need good movement in order to start stacking strength on top. That's where I'll leave you on this session. The next video, I'll dive deeper into mobility and discuss all the breakouts here that I have listed. As always, if you have any questions or need anything cleared up from this video series, please shoot me an email at justin@superhumanpursuits.com. Look forward to hearing from you. See you in the next session.